Three True School Lockdown Horror Street Ories. It was a stormy afternoon in Raven Hollow, Massachusetts. The lights flickered during fourth period, just as the wind howled through the old school windows. That's when the announcement came lockdown. No reason given. Our history teacher froze mid-sentence. The halls outside were too quiet. No footsteps, no voices. Then someone knocked, not at the door but from inside the closet. We weren't alone. Not really, not after the figure in black walked past the window. He was tall, wrapped in a cloak that moved like smoke, face hidden behind a green mask carved with a grin that never changed. I was with Jonah, who cracked jokes to hide panic. Alina, a senior who always wore red lipstick and never believed in ghosts. And Madani, just trying not to fall apart. We moved toward the gym, thinking it would be safer. But he was already there. Alina screamed when she saw him in the rafter silent, unmoving, staring. She ran. He followed without a sound. She ducked into the locker room. The lights inside went out. I heard her scream, but it sounded far away, like from another floor. We waited, minutes. Then she came out, smiling, too calm, her lipstick smeared into a crooked line. She said nothing, just looked at us with glassy eyes. Jonah grabbed my hand. We left. Behind us, Alina whispered something we couldn't understand. When I looked back, the figure in black stood beside her. Later that night, I found her yearbook photo scratched out. The ink was fresh. My picture had a red X. Jonah's was next. The school said it was a false alarm, but the cameras were wiped. And in the silence of my room, I heard it again knocking. Not on the door, on the inside of my closet. He knows where we are, and he's not done. Friday night, Pine Creek High, Oregon. The janitor's light was the only one on when the cameras caught the masked figure again. Same cloak, same green, frozen grin. Standing at the hallway's end, motionless under the flickering exit sign. We thought the lockdown was behind us. We were wrong. Jonah and I had come back to grab my phone. We brought Alina's younger sister. She didn't believe what happened to Alina. Said we were paranoid. Said it was stress. The halls were cold and smelled of ammonia. We passed the history wing. The lockers were all slightly open, just a crack. None of us opened them. None of us spoke. Jonah tried to keep things light. Lena rolled her eyes at every creak, every sound. I kept checking behind us. Then we saw him. At the far end, near the trophy case. Cloak dragging. Mask tilted. He didn't move, just watched. Lena laughed. Said it was a prank. She walked toward him. Jonah grabbed her arm, told her to stop. But the lights behind us snapped off, one row at a time. Click, click, click. We ran, down the west staircase, into the basement. Only one light worked, swinging slightly. The walls down there were lined with old theater props and broken furniture. No sound above, until we heard it. A scraping low and dry, then a whisper. Lena's name. We turned and saw him at the top of the stairs. No footsteps. He just appeared. Then he raised a hand and pointed at her. She froze, like something pulled at her chest. Jonah shouted her name, pulled her backward, but she didn't blink. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. We grabbed her and ran again, through the old door behind the stage. Found an unused classroom, filled with dust and mold. Locked it, barricaded it. Then we noticed the room was warm, too warm. There were handprints on the chalkboard, small, faded, dozens. And in the corner, a television turned on by itself. Static, then footage. Alina, standing in the locker room, not from last week, but from months ago, wearing the same red lipstick, same glassy eyes. Lena started crying. Said that wasn't possible. Said Alina had never been in that room. Then the static shifted to us, standing right where we were. The screen showed the cloaked figure behind us. We turned. Empty room. But the air changed. Dust rose in circles. Lights above began to dim. A low hum vibrated through the walls. Then, Lena collapsed. Eyes open, whispering something. Same language as Alina. We couldn't understand her. Her voice wasn't hers. Jonah carried her back up the stairs. Every hallway was different. The school had shifted. Doors that once led to classrooms now opened to storage rooms, then blackness. He was always nearby, his mask sometimes visible through window panes, or reflected in the glass of vending machines. Lena woke up, said only one thing. He was never after her. He wanted the school. He lived in the walls, in the space between. Jonah said we had to end it, said we had to find the fire alarm panel. But Lena stopped walking. She said Alina was calling her. We turned and saw her standing at the end of the hall, or what looked like her. Too still, too quiet. Jonah begged Lena to run, but she stepped forward. Her eyes turned glassy, just like before. He appeared again, behind her. Slow, deliberate. He placed a hand on her shoulder. She smiled. We pulled her back, but not fast enough. Her voice changed. It said Jonah's full name. Then it said mine, and the lights went out. We escaped. Barely. The school said we were never there. The footage gone. Lena transferred to a different district. She doesn't speak much now, but sometimes she hums a tune we never taught her, and every mirror in her house is covered. The last message I got from Jonah was one sentence. He's back. Meet me at the school, midnight. I haven't answered yet, but I can hear knocking. From the attic. Midnight. Pine Creek High, Oregon. The school's towering windows were pitch black, but something inside wasn't. The faint flicker of fluorescent lights danced across the deserted hallways. I stood alone in the darkened foyer. He was close. Jonah never showed up, but I could feel him feel the cold creep across the floor, like fingers dragging through dust. I could hear him. His slow, measured breathing, his presence in every corner of the room. He wanted something, and he was waiting. I should have never returned, but the call had come through again. This time, from Lena. Her voice wasn't like it used to be. There was something off. A tinge of fear that crawled into her words. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He's here. Her phone cut out. I stood in silence for a moment, then grabbed my keys and ran for the doors. When I got to the school, it was worse than I had expected. Every corner, every shadow seemed to tremble as if alive. The lights above hummed, pulse-breathed. He was here. His presence seeped into the walls, thick like fog. I didn't have time to think. The hallway stretched endlessly in front of me, dark and narrow. Then I saw her, Lena, standing at the far end, near the library, frozen, her head tilted unnaturally, as though something inside her was shifting her like a puppet. I called out to her. She didn't move. But her eyes, they weren't hers. I stepped forward, each step heavier than the last. Then the door behind me slammed shut. I turned around, and there he was, masked, cloaked, his grin wide and unnatural. The flickering light caught the glint of his eyes, cold, empty. Lena began to speak, but her voice was distorted, warped by whatever force was controlling her. What do you want? I asked, knowing the answer. He didn't speak. He just raised his hand, long fingers slowly reaching for Lena. The air grew thick with dread. The temperature dropped. I could feel it on my skin like ice water running down my spine. She stepped forward on her own, as if pulled by invisible strings. And then she screamed, a scream that wasn't hers. It echoed off the walls, unnatural and eerie. The lights flickered violently, and the ground beneath us trembled. I tried to grab her, tried to pull her away, but my hands went straight through her. She wasn't real anymore. The school began to twist. The walls, the floors, nothing was where it should have been. I turned back to face the cloaked figure, but it was gone. Just like that. The hallway was silent, the air still. I ran for the library, hoping to find anything to help me understand. The shelves were full of old books, some with covers cracked and faded, others still pristine. But there was something wrong. The books weren't in any order. They were scattered, piled, with strange symbols scrawled in ink across their spines. I reached for one. The instant my fingers touched it, the room darkened. The whispers began, soft, low, like wind against old wood. And then the ground shook again, more violently this time. The figure was back. This time, closer, watching from the other end of the room. His mask gleamed in the darkness, but this time, there was a flicker of something more, something ancient and powerful. He wasn't just a man in a cloak. He was something far older. I looked at Lena again. She stood behind me, still with that vacant stare. She opened her mouth, and the same words escaped her lips. The same dark language that had come from Alina. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't good. And then it hit me. The school, the figure, Lena, it was all connected. But how? Suddenly, I felt something cold brush against my cheek. I turned, and there he was, standing right behind me. I hadn't heard him move. There was no sound, only a press of cold air. He raised his hand again, but this time I could feel Aith's grip, pulling me, like a chain wrapped around my chest. I gasped for air, tried to pull away, but I couldn't. Lena's voice, though distorted, echoed through the room. Run. But it wasn't her. It was the figure. I slammed my hands against the walls, trying to find a way out. And then I saw it. A door at the far end, half open, just enough light leaking through. Without thinking, I sprinted toward it. The moment I crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut. I was in another part of the school,